Now, there is no doubt about it that ABC is going through a ratings disaster right now, especially in the past 7 to 8 days. It's been a disaster for the Walt Disney Company, for Disney CEO Bob Iger, and I think that we could all really universally agree here that those out there like Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, Sunny, etc., hosts of the program The View are by far the worst individuals on live television. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, Whoopi Goldberg, we know that she's been saying a lot of crazy things in the past numerous weeks, and we know also that she is one that is becoming quite unhinged for obvious reasons. Now, one thing about Goldberg is that she will continue to really go against the general public, even though she knows that she's in the wrong, or really, catches herself in the backlash and refuses to actually own to her mistakes or to all of the things that she has said in the past 5, 6, 7 years, maybe even more than that have truly divided a large portion of the public. But what's interesting about this has a lot more to do with Whoopi Goldberg and her overall view on George Clooney and the whole backlash situation with George Clooney that's going on right now. Let's get into this, shall we? Now, what's interesting about this is that we already know that Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, Sunny, they are facing a lot of backlash for valid reasons, mind you, on The View, because of the things that they say, because of the lies that they actually spew on The View, and not to mention, we also have a lot of other things going on with Goldberg and Joy Behar, as they are trying to desperately expand their careers into the comedic realm, and into, of course, the movies. They want to get back into movies again, either through voiceover roles or live action. So with that being said, now that the film industry, simply known as the Hollywood bubble, has officially popped, those like Robert De Niro, Jimmy Kimmel, George Clooney have been in the hot seat right now after facing massive backlash. Now, one significant development going on now involves more to do with George Clooney after Whoopi Goldberg decided to defend him at all costs. Now, Goldberg delivered the following: "I am just sick and tired of people playing the blame game on some actors in Hollywood for the outcome of why we are where we are in this country right now. This backlash over George is absolutely ridiculous and driven by one side of the country that is so illogical and blinded by hate and being misguided by the media. Mr. Clooney doesn't deserve all the negative comments that he has been getting. Now, do I agree with his opinion about where the country is heading right now? For sure, absolutely. Have I agreed with all of his opinions? Absolutely not. But what I do agree with him on are the people refusing to agree with each other and how there is so much toxicity now in 2024 and how it's about to get even worse. So don't go blaming George Clooney on everything. I think there are other fingers that we need to point at, because Mr. Clooney, and let me tell you something about him, his beliefs and his views of the world are top-notch and provide common sense to the world. He is a hidden gem, but one thing I will say are the actors with that high of a status of his need to really learn when to say or not say specific things to the public, and to refrain from saying the wrong things that could steer us in the wrong direction again. Because I think that we saw an example of how that happened over the past couple of months. Mr. Clooney, though I do respect him, I also have disagreed with his views on several things throughout this year, and we have to respect that. But the people criticizing him and blaming him for this and that publicly need to seriously tune it down, and they need to tune it down now. I know many in this business hold differing opinions of the guy, but we all need to learn from our mistakes of trusting the wrong people and taking one's opinion too seriously, because we all witnessed of how some people's opinions steered the path in the wrong direction for us, and where we wanted to go was not achieved. So guys, let me stop here about what Whoopi Goldberg is spewing yet again. It's really hard to pinpoint. Is she blaming George Clooney? Is she supporting George Clooney? Seems like she's going back and forth a lot there about how she views Clooney and what he said 3 months ago. When you look at George Clooney specifically, alright, he is the one that blamed the general public in recent days, that they are the problem, that they, as in us, as the people, viewing actors and actresses as basically activists are the wrong opinion. That's what George Clooney believes in. And that's exactly another reason why George Clooney is getting a lot of flack, and rightfully so, by the way. Now, look, we don't need actors, we don't need actresses, we don't need people on television to tell us what to say or how to think. You know, the only people that I think that we should really look up to are those that inspire us in our own social circle, or those that truly contribute to the country, in fact, to the world. Those like doctors, nurses, construction workers. I mean, the list goes on and on. Real hardworking people. We don't really need to look up to people like this that spew such lies. But what's interesting about this further is that Goldberg, it really mind-boggles me that she's still on The View. Now, yes, we know that she lost several roles associated with different studios. We've talked about this, about the whole DreamWorks situation of how she lost her role for Shrek 5 and the Donkey spin-off film. There's a lot to discuss there, a lot of updates regarding that, but let's get back into this. She goes on to conclude, "So I ask everyone to learn and to think for yourselves, but to use those like myself as a guide, or as a voice, to listen to this, to teach yourself. Don't go blaming this actor or that actor for why we are here the way that we are right now. This is because of one side of the world making the wrong choices based on sexism and misogyny, and all the wrong things in society. That's what we have to fix, and I hope we can do that in the next couple of years. So don't go blaming George or anybody else for who's leading us right now. I see tons of scapegoating happening currently, and we need to learn to point the fingers at the people with the real issues at hand." So, it's really hard to pinpoint. Is she blaming George? Is she not blaming George? Is she for him? Is she against him? Who knows? She's an insane person. But when you look at Goldberg, when you look at Joy Behar, it's really not all that surprising. Now, here's the other thing about the Hollywood bubble right now, is that we know that there are some studios that are beginning to bow down to the general public. They are beginning to back off on wokeness as we speak. But some studios, like the Walt Disney Company, are doubling down on it. This is the same exact company, by the way, that owns ABC and hence owns The View. So it's not a big shocker that you have people out there like Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, Sunny saying all of these crazy, monumental things to the public that are just blowing up. They are exploding. And it's really making it even all the more clear that they are in full-on defense mode. They are scared, they are frightened about what actually happened a week ago, and what they actually are about to face. Now, look, this has a lot to do with the ratings disaster as well, with The View, with ABC, and I'm sure a lot of it has to do with that, of why they are getting very defensive, why they're getting very wordy, and saying very defensive things about, other actors and the backlash that they're going through. We've seen this from Jimmy Kimmel as well. We've seen this from Julia Roberts, George Clooney, and among others. And it's going to continue to get worse. We're seeing now, of course, Mark Ruffalo is becoming, unhinged and losing control on a whole other level, by the way. We'll talk about that maybe next week. But what's interesting about this yet again is Goldberg is doubling down on her efforts to divide people and to really point the finger at, that group or this group, and it's just the wrong thing to do, alright? That's exactly why I think that The View needs to stop, it needs to come to an end officially, and it needs to be shut down. We'll have to wait and see how the ratings disaster kind of steers that in, that path, but we'll have to wait. Overall, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.